Hello, welcome everybody. My name is Sharon Tapper. I'm the Executive Director of the Music Managers Forum US. We're so glad that you've joined us today. Whether it's your first time or you've been with us before, welcome. You're all welcome to be here. If you're not already familiar with us, here's a quick background on who we are. The Music Managers Forum was founded in 1993 and is the leading trade association for artist managers and self-managed artists in the US. We're a registered 501c6 not-for-profit organization, and our work is powered by the support of our members and the generosity of our sponsors, one of which is Beat Bread, and we're really appreciative of them for putting this webinar together. If you're not yet a member, we'd love you to join us. Just head over to our website, which is just mmfus.com, and click on the application form. And the core of what we do is rooted in three pillars: education, networking, and advocacy. So through webinars like today, we provide ongoing professional development to support managers and artists navigating the ever-evolving music industry in which we all survive. Advocacy to ensure that artist managers and self-managed artists have a collective voice to shape a fairer, more transparent industry. And we also foster connection and community, both virtually and in person, like today's webinars, community meetups, and our all-day in-person summits. We currently support a nationwide network across 9 regional chapters: LA, New York, Nashville, Miami, Chicago, Austin, Boston, Atlanta, and most recently, Philadelphia. These chapters host local events, foster peer-to-peer networking, and provide community-driven support and professional development for artist managers and self-managed artists in their respective markets. We're also proud to be a member of the MMF, which is a group of 60 MMFs around the world. So that's Europe, Latin America, Asia, the Middle East, Australia, all connecting managers and music industry opportunities around the world. So we're grateful to be part of that as well. So if you want to stay in the loop with things that we're doing going forward, just sign up for our bi-weekly newsletters, again, at our website, mmfus.com, or follow us at social media at mmfus. So thank you for your patience. Let's get down to why we're all here. So today's webinar explores how artists are building sustainable long-term careers by diversifying revenue streams, strengthening fan relationships, and creating communities of superfans. As the music industry continues to evolve, independent artists and their teams are finding new ways to grow their business while maintaining creative and financial independence. Our speakers will share practical strategies, innovative business models, and real-world insights into building stronger artist businesses in today's rapidly changing landscape. But before we start, we want to offer special thanks to Matthew Tilley for bringing this webinar idea to the MMF US and for helping assemble such an outstanding panel of speakers for you all to experience today. So special thank you to Matthew at Beat Bread and to Even for partnering with us and sharing their expertise with the MMF community. Delighted to welcome our featured speakers. We've got Celena Fields, who is Head of Artist Relations at Even, with nearly a decade of experience spanning artist management, streaming, labels, distribution, brand partnerships. She leads artist acquisition, strategic partnerships at Even. Her previous leadership roles at Love Renaissance, Human Resources, which is part of Sony Orchard, and Apple Music, has given her extensive experience developing marketing, streaming strategies for artists at every stage of their careers. Joining Celena is Litsa Romalaitis, Director of Artists and Partner Strategy at Even, with more than a decade of experience across radio, touring, major labels, and artist strategy. Litz has worked closely with artists, including TLC, while leading fan engagement, release strategy, and industry partnerships. Today, she helps build stronger, more meaningful relationships with their audience through innovative artist first business models. And last but not least, we've got Matthew Tilley, who's head of artist industry development at Beatbread. Matthew brings more than 25 years of experience developing innovative marketing and artist development campaigns for some of the world's best known artists. At Beatbread, he helps artists access flexible funding solutions that empower them to grow sustainable careers while maintaining greater, greater creative and business control of their careers. So, Celena, Litz, and Matthew, thank you for joining us today. And I'll hand the floor over to you. Thank you so very much.
Amazing. Hey guys, thank you so much for that, Sharon. We're so excited to be here and present to you, teach you a little bit more about Even and how you can go direct to fan and really own your audience. So I'm very excited. As Sharon had mentioned, my name is Lisa. I'm Director of Artist and Partner Strategy, accompanied with Celena, and then our very close friend Matthew, who we love at Beatbread. So we're very excited to be here. I'll quickly just kind of jump in and give you an overview about what Even is and how artists are using it. I'll then share my screen and show you some example campaigns using two different models that we currently use at Even. And then I'll throw it to Celena, who will kind of jump in more of like the tools and analytics that artists and managers get access to when they utilize our platform, Even. The way we like to position it or think of Even as the infrastructure that allows you to sell direct to fan. What we mean by that is having artists at all different levels, whether you're a developing artist, whether you're a well-known independent artist like Chance the Rapper, or whether you're J. Cole, who all have used the platform, you can use Even as your direct-to-fan strategy before you release to DSPs. We like to think of Even as almost a movie theater premiere for your music and content before you upload your music and content to DSPs and other platforms. You're giving your fans early access to experiences and music and really making them feel special. Fans often get access to these experiences behind a paywall. So we're known for our pay what you want model, where you set the minimum price, but fans can pay above what's being asked just because they're excited to support their favorite artists. While it might sound silly and you might question what fans are paying above that, it's actually pretty fun to see that about 30 to 40% of fans are paying above what's being asked of them just because they're so excited to support their favorite artists. And in return, the artist is getting that data of who their fans are, their first name, last name, emails, and phone numbers, and how much they pay. So with Even, you do get access to all your first party fan data. We hand that over. We don't utilize it to market any of our audience. That is for the artists and teams to really be able to do a deep dive as to who those fans are that are looking to get early access to content, exclusive experiences, etc. A couple of other standout features with Even is we are data reporters to Luminate. So if you are working with an artist or if you are an artist yourself where charting is a priority, you can work closely with a team or set up your own campaign via Backstage that Celena will go over shortly and ensure that your campaign is charting eligible. There's various rules when it comes to Luminate. So we hold your hand in making sure that when you set up your campaign, it abides by those rules, and then your sales on Even can count towards your first week's sales. We are an app compatible with Android and iOS, and we are a global company. So when I say that, I mean we have various site translations of Even. We accept over 140 different currencies and payment methods, and then it is accessible globally by your audience. We expand our payment methods and languages based on partner needs, which is very exciting. But all that to say, Even is really a tool for you to use to go direct to fan, own your fan data, and also get paid as frequently as daily. Utilize that early access, early monetization with Even to sharpen and strengthen your DSP releases, which is very exciting. So I'm going to share my screen and walk through what some campaigns on Even look like. We currently support two models, the first one being our marketplace release. This is a campaign that can go live in a matter of minutes. You can set it up directly through your Even portal as an artist or manager and have it ready to go immediately. So let me share my screen and show you an example of some artists that have utilized the platform and what they've offered. So with Even, music is often the first pillar. And what I mean by that is artists are offering early access to upcoming music or launching album pre-orders on the platform. I'm showing you an example that All American Rejects did within our marketplace, and they were offering early access to their album, which is very exciting. As you can see, currently everything lives behind a paywall. They did reveal some of the track list, but at a later date came once you purchase it, you'll be able to see the full track list. So there are some key marketing rollout components that you can do where it's like, maybe you blur out the track list at first and then you reveal it at a later date. But what really strengthens the campaign is the additional access points and offerings. All American Rejects, for instance, offered, of course, early access to their music, but then for an additional price point, they were offering things like BTS photos, exclusive video content, and an exclusive fan chat room that lives directly in Even. We do have proprietary software and work closely with Audible Magic to ensure that all of your exclusive content and music lives directly in the platform. We can help issue any takedowns and track leaks, but we have not had a leak to date, which is very exciting. J. Cole has about 20 hours of unreleased content that lives directly on his Even campaign. That's never seen the light of day, which is speaks a little bit to how aggressive we can be when it comes to takedowns. But Even Marketplace is really meant to be, you can create a turnkey campaign in a matter of minutes. You can offer things like early access to music, and then the additional access points is really what strengthens that campaign. I'll show you another one quickly of how a different artist had set up their campaign. This artist goes by the name of Larizi. He has a new album. He's offering early access to his album as well that lives behind the paywall. And then his offerings are pretty extensive, which is awesome. We often operate with less is more, but you can do everything from pay a specific price point to get a FaceTime call with him. You can get limited merch, VIP meet and greets, BTS videos, etc. All you would do as a fan is click Get Access, click what price point you're looking to purchase, which will let you know what you're unlocking at that price point, and then go through the flow. We don't require fans to create an account by any means. It's just either a phone number or email address, and then it's two-factor authentication. So that's how you're getting that fan data. And then one more key feature I will show is we do have a gifting option, which is really fun. So this allows fans to purchase the experience and gift it to their friends and their families, helping, turning your fans into your biggest marketers and spreading the word, which is really exciting. So if I know Celena is a huge Larizi fan, I can send her, I can purchase this on her behalf. She'll get an email saying, "Hey, Lisa just purchased Larizi's new album. You can now listen to it," which is really fun to see. So I want to be mindful of time, but this is essentially what the Even Marketplace looks like, what a campaign on Even Marketplace looks like. It looks and feels like the artist, fans are supporting the artist directly, but it lives within the marketplace at even.biz. Our next campaign I'm going to show you is using what we call Even Studio, which is a little bit more of a white label experience that lives on its own unique domain. So this is a campaign we most recently did for Jessie Reyes. Opposed to going to even.biz, fans are going to the unique domain that we created, she selected, which is titled a littlevengeance.com, the name of her album. One thing that's important to note is Even is not a discovery platform. So when we create these campaigns or artists create these campaigns, it's really important that the artists and team are leaning in to say, "Hey, I have this unique offering, whether it's early access to music, BTS content, etc. Go support me now, link in bio, etc." So the conversation often starts on socials. If you go to Jessie Reyes's Instagram right now, you'll see there's a link in bio leading her fans to this campaign. This is a little bit more of a white label experience. You don't see much Even branding on here. It just says powered by Even at the bottom of it, but it looks and feels and is on theme for all things Jessie Reyes around this album. Fans can come to this site and get access to her album, plus 8 exclusive bonus tracks, which is really cool. You currently can't get access to these bonus tracks anywhere else. They do live behind the paywall. Fans would have to purchase, and then they get these. As you can imagine, exclusive music and content is something that performs best on the platform, whether it's an exclusive voice memo, an a cappella version, a remix version, etc. What Even Studio is really meant to do, it's supposed to bring fans, it really encourages fans to come purchase, but stay and engage as well. So while fans can purchase music as well as physical, they get access to things like a community chat. So in order to access community chat, I can sign in with my phone number, and then I'm sent a two-factor authentication code where I can access it. You can log in with your email or phone number to get access to this as a fan, and then you'd be able to enter the fan chat room. And then something that we've also launched with Jessie is her tour site. So this is where you can embed a tour pre-sale, as well as tickets. So fans can come here with Jessie. She hasn't fully announced her tour yet. She has let fans know that something is coming. So fans can sign up here. This is a point of CRM data capture. They can opt into email and phone number, and then they'll be the first to know once she announces her tour dates, which is really fun. So even Studio and both Marketplace is a space for you to create a direct-to-fan campaign that allows fans to come and purchase exclusive content and music from you, as well as be able to stay and engage in things like community chat features with other fans, which is very exciting. I'll throw it to Celena to kind of dive through the analytics and data that you get access to that you can then utilize to market your DSP campaigns at a further date.
Thanks, Lisa. So what I'm going to share now is Even Backstage. So Even Backstage is essentially your hub for being able to set up your release campaigns, also allows for you to track your fan data, and connect directly with your fans as well. So this is a sample release that I created a couple years ago at this point. And so as an artist, I was able to set up this campaign. I wanted to have a release to celebrate my birthday. I have about 12 tracks here. I also was able to set my minimum price, so you can get access to the music for $2.22. My suggested price was $11.11. So as an artist, you get to set your own price points. We'll never tell you, hey, this is what it needs to be. We do have really helpful guides that allow for you to adjust your price points, but also you can utilize the fan data for your next release or for setting your merch based on the price points. On the back end, we also have revenue splits. So this allows for you to split revenue between the music access and then also the experiential access. So I'm the main artist. I was able to share a percentage there with my team, so on and so forth. And I was able to tier out all of these here. So similar to what Lisa showed you with this campaign, you're able to set up your tiers. So this is the release. This is what I have access to because I purchased it, so on and so forth. So just wanted to show you a reference of how that works there. We also have prepared marketing assets for each release. So this allows for you to share directly with your fans. You could set this up whether you have a pre-order, whether it's out, before it goes to DSPs, gifting options, thank you options. This is really great as you are collecting insights from fans across socials or directly within the Even platform that you could share. You could also share your link in bio. You could also share results. So with this release, I made almost $800 from 39 fans. Again, I'm not an artist. I just worked on this with a few friends. And so I always encourage people, it's never too early to get started. If I could do it, I definitely believe that others can too. And then something that we always love to share is the release analytics. So this is where you would collect all your data. So with this release, I made almost $750 between 40 fans. The average checkout price was $18.54. If you recall, my suggested price was $11.11, and that was my highest ticketed item. But it seems like quite a few fans are paying more than the minimum. On the platform, we see about 30 to 40% of users pay more than the minimum, which is incredible. We've also seen fans purchase albums for up to $20,000. We've seen, trends start. One person spends a lot of money, then the cycle continues. We'll always show your streaming equivalent. So in order for me to make this revenue, I would have needed 211,000 streams. But based on my consumption here, I'm not really seeing that. So you'll see instead of making 0.0008 of a cent per stream, I'm making closer to $3 off of 242 streams. I'm able to see my top spending fans. I'm able to see what was their method of payment used, how much money they spent, the currency they use. I'm able to see my top cities. This really helps if, I was a touring artist. I'm also able to see where are people finding my release from. from Instagram. Some people just got the direct links, so on and so forth. Some people Googled it, which is great. And then we also have Fan Connect. Fan Connect is our backend CRM tool. This is free to use. This allows for you to take your fan data and set up campaigns. So, an example campaign that I had was a new merch drop. It took me a long time to share. The journals that I had a part of this campaign. So as a peace offering, I wanted to let them know that, hey, like here's some merch that you're able to get access to as well. And then you're able to see how many people received it, what was the click-through rate, so on and so forth. You'll get those details. In setting up a campaign, super simple. We have SMS, we have email, you could customize it. So if I want to send an SMS and say like new music video on YouTube, I could say continue. And then from there, I could import my fans. You could also export all of your fans through Even. So if you're using like a Lalo or community, you could just import whatever context you receive on Even directly to that if you'd like. You could segment out your fans. So if I just wanted to share it with a certain people, I can, type your message. I could schedule it. I customize my phone number. I'm from Long Beach, so maybe I want to use 562. I could say continue and I could choose it this way. And, then I could go through the flow on that end. And this is all available for artists and teams to use. So that's Fan Connect. You're also able to see even links. This is exactly as it sounds like. So you're able to set up, let's say you want to put a QR code against the side of the show, you'll be able to collect data from fans that way, and then you can message them later. And then, of course, loving the fan insights. So I'm able to see where they're from. This helps me maybe potentially price out my tickets in certain markets. And then also be able to have, a value of, okay, how many fans are coming back? How many fans do I have? Where do I see the growth opportunities? I could also message these top spenders directly, and I could say thank you to them. I'm able to see, how much money they spent again, so on and so forth. So that is essentially Even in a nutshell. We also have membership features. So this is essentially a space for you to collect, monthly payment from fans, kind of like a Patreon in a sense. So yeah, I know we're running close on time, so I'll stop it there, but happy to help answer any questions, or Lisa, feel free to chime in for anything I might have missed.
I think you nailed it. Yeah, that is essentially Even in a nutshell, your go-to direct-to-fan platform. Um, we encourage you to check it out, which is really exciting, and also utilize those tools and analytics.
Thank you so very much. Really appreciate that. That was really wonderful to learn. There are a couple of questions here, and I have some others as well, so I'm going to jump in here. So Claire Wellen, one of our guests, is asking, how is Even different from Bandcamp, and what does it offer that Bandcamp doesn't?
Yeah, I could chime in on that one. We always encourage our artist teams to use both Even and Bandcamp. And also, we always say, like, it's not even or streaming, it's even and streaming. So think of Even really as that infrastructure layer to your overall marketing tentpole moments, right? This is built for artists at scale, providing first-party fan data, email and SMN marketing, and also Luminate data-approved sales. So the charting component, the CRM component, the early behavior insights, and then plus you have the full support of the artist relations team and customer service. And so I think in terms of just high-level comparisons, I think, they do operate similarly in a sense, but this with Even allows you to kind of add more of that community and fan layer component, and it lives directly on the platform. So artists are uploading photos, videos, stems, drum kits, zines, and that is accessible directly through their Even library and within our app. So there's a little bit more of the community attached to it, but the mechanics are very similar. We're operating in the e-commerce space as a marketplace as well, but we're adding a layer of that fan component plus the business side of it that a lot of artists and teams look for in terms of just getting support or insights on their fans. So hopefully that answers your question. Again, we recommend using both, whatever works well, but those are some of just the high level differences that we've seen.
Wonderful. Yeah, I mean, people have to try. There's no right or wrong way to do this. People have to try different things, and whatever feels best to them is is really the best way to proceed. Um, Another question here from Eric. Has there ever been a case where an artist decided to change the set suggested payment once the project went live due to them wanting to add another tier of services? I'm presuming people have fluidity to be able to change those.
Yeah, absolutely. And in terms of just like best practices, you want to make sure that if you are changing the price, you communicate that to your audience. It could be like, hey, that was an early bird special. And for those of you who got it early, you had access to that explicit price. So you can absolutely have the freedom to do so to continue to expand your tiers. As Selena mentioned, use that as like a marketing tentpole moment. Start maybe with one offering, in 2 or 3 weeks, you can include additional offerings and change it, but just make sure you're communicating to your audience so they're not kind of questioning, hey, why are prices changing frequently?
That makes sense. Thank you. Miska is asking, does this have an API?
So right now within the platform, we don't have an external facing API that really lends itself to like our Even Studio campaign that Lisa had shared where we build Even on top of your website. We do have integrations available though across the board if you wanted to integrate, any pixels to your campaign to track data. If you wanted to integrate to your Laylo or community and bring over your contacts, but there currently isn't an open API for it.
Are you making deals with labels and distributors to scale up, or is everything direct artist level only?
That's a great question. So we initially started just with artists, and now we do have partnerships actually currently with a handful of the majors as well as independent labels and distros. But it is still accessible to independent artists across the board. But we are working with everyone from developing artists to, as mentioned, those J. Cole's, Jesse Reyes's, etc., in partnership with their labels.
Could this be used to sell VIP passes for a tour?
Absolutely. We've seen so many artists utilize the platform for in-person events. More specifically, one example I can think of, there's a Canadian rapper who set up a $250 price point for up to 10 or excuse me, 10 fans to purchase, and they essentially become VIP for life. So he has a moment where every time he's on tour, these 10 fans will have access or an automatic VIP upgrade for each of his shows for life, essentially, or as long as he's touring for, which is pretty exciting. But we've seen a lot of unique case studies for the VIP or meet and greet section for like more traditional touring settings. We've also seen artists get really creative. When I first started, there was an artist that said, hey, you give me $2,000, I'll fly to your house and I'll perform my album in your living room. And he did that a couple times. So we're seeing so many unique case studies for it, but definitely on the live side too.
How do we get access to Even Studios to run campaigns?
Yeah, so Even Studio currently is a little bit more reserved for your priority or top tier artists. So it'd be a matter of conversation to identify if Even Studio currently makes sense. The plan is, though, eventually to make Even Studio available to every artist, which would be very exciting. But Even Studio just requires a bit more bandwidth from the Even team. So we can identify together. There's no specific threshold or number I can share with you, but we can identify together if it makes sense for your respective artists at this time. And if not, Marketplace also mirrors a lot of the same capabilities as Studio.
Wonderful. I'm gonna ask one last question. Tika is asking, does Even support live listening parties or stream release premieres for singles? If so, what tools or best practices do you recommend for artists who want to make a release feel more communal and event-based for fans?
Yeah, I'm happy to jump in on that. So we often see artists offer things like live streams or release parties to celebrate their, worldwide release of their music with their day one fans. Oftentimes, when on Marketplace, that's really just essentially maybe a Zoom link or a webinar link where fans will purchase the tier you'll get access to their phone numbers and email. And then the day of, you can email them with a unique link to have them join you in a Zoom call similar to this and celebrate with you. If using Even Studio, we do have live stream capabilities built in directly to the site. So fans would just go to that unique domain. We recently did one with B2K, which was really fun, where fans go to B2K live at the specific time and we're able to watch the live stream directly within their Even Studio site, which is very exciting. So there's different ways that you can do it. On Marketplace, it's more of a private Zoom link. And then when using Even Studio, you can log directly into the site and fans can tune in that way.
It's amazing. We're getting more and more questions in here. If people have questions, where should they go so they can reach out to you directly? Because obviously this is open a myriad of possibilities to people, which is awesome. But where do you want to direct people so they can go with their questions?
Yeah, for sure. I'm answering and typing back to some of them in the
I
Q&A
see. Thank
side as
you.
well. Yeah, so we can keep things going. But for any and all inquiries, or if you want to get started with Even, you can email artistrelations@even.biz.
Wonderful. Thank you so very much. All
Yeah,
right.
of course.
So
Thank you.
folks with other questions, please direct them there. We're now going to move to Matthew and Beat Bread, but Celena and Litsa, thank you so very much. Feel free to hang out, but really delighted to learn all of this about your incredible platform, and thank you so very much.
Of course. Thank you guys.
So Matthew, welcome back.
Hello, Sharon. We should share with everybody that, we were commiserating jointly about England being removed from the World Cup yesterday. So between that and having a bit of a cold, I'm not at my best today, but, we'll power through and hopefully impart some wisdom and try and be as engaging and exciting as the wonderful ladies from Even. And that was a great presentation. So I am going to start with a quick video to hopefully get the energy levels up here, and then I'm going to have a little presentation, and then we'll give a little demonstration, and then hopefully we'll have time for some questions. So I'm going to go fast. Hope everyone's on board, and off we go.
Beatbread is the place where artists and labels get better music funding. We provide more choices, because more choices mean better funding. Choose funding for masters or publishing from $1,000 to over $10 million. Choose the terms of your deal. Get funding on existing music, new releases, or both. Choose how much monthly income you want to keep. Choose the length of your deal. Keep ownership of your catalog or explore an outright sale. Beatbread funding is available whether you stay on your current distributor or switch to a new one for better services or lower fees. Independent labels can use Beatbread funding to support marketing and operations, get out of a bad deal, and of course, to sign more artists. Unlike labels, distributors, or other music finance companies, Beatbread is an open platform. Qualifying artists and labels will receive offers from multiple distributors and other finance companies. The Beatbread Deal Comparison tool leverages our best-in-class data science to give you an accurate view of fees, income, and time to recoup in different deals. See how your costs and cash flows change depending on your music performance. Understand all your options and choose the funding that's right for you, whether that's from Beatbread, a partner, or a competitor instead. It's time for better choices in the music industry. Beatbread. More choices, better funding.
Right, so little bit of background on Beatbread and what it is. Here we go. So what is Beatbread? I always like to start by saying what we're not. We're not a label, we're not a distributor, and we're not an artist services company. We provide musicians and their partners with funding. That's what we do. We're a funding company. At heart, it's all based on data science and business process. There's a lot of automation behind the scenes, and all the advances based solely on data science. And our mission is really to empower independent artists and independent labels by expanding access to working capital, so funding to power the next phase of their career or business expansion or whatever that is. Quick origin story. A guy called Peter Sinclair was our founder. He was at Harvard Law, then McKinsey, and then various different startups, never in the music business. He joined Universal Music in 2015. That was his first job in music. And he had the idea while he was there, while seeing how many artists and managers had their own teams, their own services, their own way of doing things that didn't really use the label, and realized that they were only really signing with a label to get the advance, to get the check that would power the next phase of their career. And he thought, surely there's a better way to get artists to check than, taking control of their rights and control of their careers. He met his co-founder, John, who was a data scientist who, again, never worked in music before, but built lots of AI models in insurance markets and energy markets. They bought a giant data set from Illuminate and went off to create an algorithm that eventually would turn out to be very good at predicting future streaming for individual songs. So we were founded in 2020, essentially. It was a team with deep experience in music, finance, data science, AI, and machine learning. And this allowed us to create new funding opportunities for artists, labels, and distributors. All the advances are set are algorithmically driven. There's no A&R here. Nobody's listening to the music or looking at pictures or saying, oh, that guy looks too old or that person looks too this or too that. It's all based on data science. We've done about 2,000 advances so far. And if you look at our portfolio of advances that we've made and the money that comes in every month versus the money we predicted would come in every month, those two numbers have never been more than 3% apart. So our data science is pretty accurate. Now, some deals do perform better than we expected, some perform worse than we expected, but in the aggregate, they're 3% apart, which is what enables the business to be active and keep running, essentially. For artists and songwriters, the advance range is generally between $1,000 and up to $5 million. For labels, starts at $20,000 and goes up to $10 million. Individual artists need about $100 in monthly income to qualify. That roughly equates to about 10,000 monthly listeners on Spotify. That will normally be over our threshold. Labels, we're looking more like $2,000 in monthly income in order to qualify. And in all cases, the small print there is we need 6 months of detailed distribution reports to get started on an analysis. So what do artists get with BeatBread? They can choose an advance against streaming revenue, publishing revenue, or both. It can be one, it could be the other, it could be both. That's completely up to them. They obviously keep 100% ownership of the music. Our deals are actually a purchase of revenue. So we're buying the income for a period of time. We're not taking any ownership or licensing position on the music at all. They don't pay interest. Our deals we're taking a share of the income. So that means if the income does well, we both do well. The deal recoups faster. And if the streaming does worse for some reason, we do worse as well. So we're always just taking a share, and that means the amount they owe us can never go up. Whereas you take a loan and your repayments go down, the amount you owe will start to go up, right? You'll see over 200 different advance options, lots of different choices the artist gets to make in the deal they construct, which I'll show you guys later. You can choose your own distributor and marketing partners. We work with 40 or 50 different distributors at this point. We've got artists on many, many different distributors all over the world. You can choose which tracks to include in the deal. We can make an advance against just a few songs, a couple of albums, or the entire catalog. Again, that's completely your choice. You can choose to keep a share of your monthly income. If you use your streaming income to pay the rent and you need to keep 50% of it each month, that's absolutely fine. Of course, you will get a slightly lower advance if you're keeping some of the income each month, but it does give you the flexibility to retain some cash flow. Choose your deal terms. As I said, many, many different options. There's 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 5 year, sometimes 8 and sometimes even 20-year deals. The 20-year deal is supposed to sort of mimic what you'd get if you sold your catalog without actually having to sell your catalog. I'm a big advocate of artists retaining control and ownership of their music. You only get to sell it once, and maybe when you're in your 60s, that makes sense to sell it, right? But if you can get a 20-year deal and get almost as much money as you would have got for a sale, but actually retain the ownership, that seems like a better idea. And you can choose to include or not include future releases. So we'll, as well as funding against your catalog, we'll fund against your next 5 or 10 songs. And that's, again, totally your choice whether you want to include new releases in the deal or not. Funding process. My head of operations might slap me on the wrist for saying it takes 10 days. That might be fast sometimes. Sometimes it's going to take 3 or 4 weeks, but it's not a long drawn out process to get an advance from Beatbread. Then we have the Beatbread Funding Network. If artists are willing and able to change distributors, then we have partnerships with several distributors who will bid on a deal and will often pay more than we will. So it's a way of getting you access to more cash on any different deal structure, whether it includes new music or not. We've got people ready to bid on that. Does tend to take a little longer to close the deal, but will often yield an advance that's 20 to 30% higher than what we would be offering. Always worth saying, larger advances generally take longer to recoup, right? Okay, the products. How do you actually use the Beatbread product? You go to beatbread.com, you pick artist, you give it the artist name, you create an account, and then the last question is, how much streaming income did this artist receive last month? This is going to be roughly accurate, right? It doesn't have to be deadly accurate, but the more accurate you are here, the more accurate the estimates are going to be. But I happen to know these guys made about $5,000 last month. So here we go. I've got advanced estimates already, right? So I can choose sound recording, songwriting, or both. I can choose, do I want to be catalog only, plus 5 new songs, plus 10 new songs? Do I want to keep a percentage of my income each month? Do I want to keep 10%? Do I want to keep 30%? How long do I want this deal to be? Do I want a 2-year deal? Do I want a 5-year deal? Am I happy to stay with my current distributor? Do I want to look at options? Now, bear in mind, this is the most important word on this screen, estimate, right? And this is why we're giving ranges. Based on me telling the system who the artist was and that they made about $5,000 last month, these are estimates, and that's why we're getting these ranges here, right? But it gives you a rough idea of what you could be getting in a Beatbread deal. If this seems interesting, we hope it does, click Get Funding Now, and we're going to ask you to upload distribution reports, and you can literally download them from your distributor and drag and drop them to here, right? So that process then takes 2 or 3 days for us to read those files, do our diligence process. You've seen the estimates, you've uploaded your reports, a couple of days have gone by, we've done our work on the back end, and then you will get to this screen. Now, these are actually confirmed offers, right? Where you get the same idea, where you get to design the deal. Do you want catalog only? Do you want to include 10 new songs? How long do you want the deal to be? But you'll see on the right-hand side now, instead of ranges, there's actual finished dollar amounts. And again, you'll see every time I change an option here, these numbers are changing. And this lays out exactly what the deal structure is. For every term, there's a tooltip here, which defines what actually is. There's some videos to watch. And you can literally design the deal that makes the most sense for you. If you would like, we're always available for a call to walk you through this, explain it, answer any questions, help you come up with what might be the best deal. I would always encourage people to think about, in advance of applying, how much money do you need, right? What's your marketing plan? What are you actually budgeting for? We don't ask those questions. It's really up to you how you spend the money. But I think it's much better to come into the site with an idea in mind about how much money you would like to get, and then work backwards from there. And then if you find a deal you like, you literally hit select deal, and then that will generate a PDF of a deal summary, which you can print out or download or go and think about. And then literally you can walk through the next steps on the website, but also availability to speak to us at any point. And then final thing to point out is we have this knowledge center on the website. Wendy Day, massive advocate for independent artists. She's got a whole bunch of videos on here now of tips on how to get things. There's various blog articles that we've posted, just a useful set of resources. We also have our services page with a whole bunch of companies that we work with. I hope Even's on here, guys. I'm going to make sure it is later. But yeah, a bunch of different ways that you can register your music, promote your music, record music, all those kinds of things. So yeah, that's what it is. Beatbread is a company that provides advances. That's what we do. And we've done 2,000 of them, and we have some very happy customers.
Wonderful. Thank you so very much. We love Wendy Day. She's amazing. What an amazing font of knowledge in this industry. We have a few questions, and I have some questions as well. So let's jump in here. Yeah. Manuel is asking, how many artist deals do you do per month? Average.
We've pretty consistently averaged one a day. So
Okay.
30 is a fairly typical month. We've been up in the 50s sometimes. We've been, around Christmas time. Sometimes it dips down a little bit into the 20s, but
We've
yeah,
got gifts to buy, Matthew. So
exactly.
you've got to be real.
30 or 40 a month is fairly typical.
Yeah, and obviously they fluctuate in range and size, so it's not
Oh
like
yeah,
there
massively.
are all kinds of levels there. Another question here: is it possible to get funding only on new releases, and how frequently can funding be allocated? That's kind of two questions, but we'll let that slide.
It, yeah, unfortunately, not new releases only. No, it's not on our wheelhouse. We obviously get money from an investment fund. They believe in our algorithm, but they also know that the catalog is the anchor that's going to make sure that you get a return, essentially.
Right. You need that 6 months of data, really, so that's not a new
Yeah,
release.
yeah, exactly. Well, yes, and
You
we hope, Sharon, one day we can get to a place where the data is enough to make a confident prediction about the new music that we could just fund against new music. That is something we would like to be able to get to. But right now, the fund that we have says, no, you got to have some catalog in the deal. Could just be one album, right? Or just a few tracks. Doesn't have to be everything. But I know some people are often tied up. They're in an unrecouped deal somewhere, and that makes it hard. But we have seen is the ability sometimes to buy out of that deal, right? So we've helped artists buy out. They said, "Oh, well, I'm unrecouped." Well, how much are you unrecouped? Oh, I'm unrecouped 30,000. Well, we could advance you 100,000. Okay, so then you can get out of that deal. So actually, your catalog now is available, right? And how often can it be fun? I mean, there's lots of ways to interpret that question. Many of our artists, I think about 25% of our artists have come back and re-up their deal. So they're 2 years into a 5-year deal, but it's going really well. We rerun the numbers, they can get more money. So we're always happy to do that. That's normally, once a year at best. You can't keep coming back every few months because there's just not the headroom in the deal, right? Yeah, hopefully that answers that.
But if people coming back, it's obviously working for them. So it's the best endorsement you could possibly have is repeat business.
Exactly.
Does BeatBread offer an API or other integration options for music companies and distributors?
Drop me an email, Matthew@beatbread.com. Matthew with two T's. There's various different answers to that, various things in the works. I won't bore everybody with the technicalities, but please get in touch.
Sammy's asking, so BeatBread essentially works as investment money for artists similar to a business, and then they get to use the money for whatever they need to help with their career. I mean, as long as there's income there to pull against, what they do with it is
Yeah,
kind of up
no,
to
I
them.
mean, listen, we obviously love it when people invest in their careers, but we've had artists buy houses, pay off loans, do all kinds of things, and we really don't. Our contract does say that it needs to be used for a business purpose. That's a sort of a legal thing, but we're not asking any questions or But the original concept was to help artists fund their careers, but there's some flexibility there.
Without giving up their rights, which is an
Correct.
amazing, amazing innovation. Are there any key differences when comparing Duetti or Sam royalties with BeatBread?
I am, obviously I'm aware of those companies. I'm not aware of every intricacy of their deals. Duetti, I believe, is buying your rights or certainly a portion of them in perpetuity. So you have actually given us something up there. That's the main difference between us and them. Sound Royalties, I don't believe offers advances against new releases. I think it's only against catalog. And I think Sound Royalties is looking for a minimum of about $5,000 a year in earnings, and we're at about $1,200 a year in
That was
earnings.
my question. Is like, what is there a minimum threshold that people should be aware of before they even start this
Yeah,
process?
like I said, $100 a month in income, 10,000 monthly listens on Spotify, but it's a little gray because it does depend on momentum as well, right? If you're trending downwards at that point, you may not get a response, and you don't know until we ask the machine, right? So I can't tell you there's a clear line. Generally, somebody making $100 a month, as long as it's consistent and or growing, will get an offer from the system.
And we got people all around the world here in this audience today. Are you worldwide? Are there
Yeah.
territories that you're mainly focused in, or are you everywhere?
No, it can be everywhere. I mean, the data in Southeast Asia can be a little difficult sometimes. And obviously it depends what distributor you're on. If you could be in any country in the world, if you're on TuneCore or CD Baby or DistroKid or one of the ones we work with all the time, easy, easy, easy. If you're in Vietnam and on a Vietnamese distributor we've never worked with, there may be a couple more hurdles to jump over. But, we try and make things work in most situations.
Wonderful. I think that's all the questions. Your email one last time, if people suddenly think of something once we're done.
Matthew with 2 T's at beatbread.com.
Easy. Wonderful. Well,
look at that. And we're dead on time, Sharon.
I know, you nailed it. If only you were playing for England, but we're not going to go there.
Oh, don't go there.
Breaks my heart. Well, thank you. This has been amazing. We're so grateful for you, the three of you, for taking the time out of your busy schedules to share this information and knowledge and insights with our community today. Really appreciate you being here and helping our members learn how to navigate, this ever-changing, complicated world, and giving them options, which is what we always try to do, and giving them experience and knowledge with that. So thank you again. And thank you to everybody who attended. Again, just follow us at MMF US and enjoy the rest of your day and the rest of the summer. But again, thank you for taking the time mostly. So have a great day.
Thanks, Sharon.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.